In the last 3 games, Chelsea have drawn with Aston Villa after being 2-0 down, beating Tottenham pretty comfortably and smashing West Ham. This has put them in a really good position to finish within the European places. And there's a common denominator in all of these games. No Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez is a very, very good player. I don't think anybody is doubting that. However, in this Chelsea side, I think they might be better off without him. And I say that because of the real balance that they have in this team. The implementation of a couple of tactics by Mauricio Pochettino has seemingly changed the way that Chelsea not only defend, but also go forwards. First of all, we're going to be taking a look at the role of his quote-unquote replacement, and that's in Conor Gallagher. Dropping him back from the central attacking midfield role that he had previously, he's now going back and playing Enzo Fernandez's centre midfield or centre defensive midfield role. His partnership with Caicedo has allowed Gallagher to then maintain a more defensive hold on this Chelsea side, giving the licence for Cole Palmer to move from the right wing into that central attacking midfield role, bringing in Noni Madueke. Now, when this happens, what it's given Chelsea is just some natural added width to begin with. In the side, if you had Palmer moving infield, it left quite a big gap out on the right hand side, and that needed to be filled by Gusto's runs coming from right back. Instead, you can now play a centre-back here with Gusto being injured and keeping the width through Madueke down the right-hand side. If the width is maintained for Chelsea, what you can then see is added space being given by Chelsea in these pockets. And it's then giving them the license to be able to fill those spaces, to be able to facilitate a little bit more of an aggressive positioning and aggressive play. Now, the second tactic that gets employed by Mauricio Pochettino is the utilisation of Marc Cucurella in midfield. Now, we know that he played a very pivotal role in possession through Brighton when he was there. And it's almost been lost, but Cucurella is a decent passer of the ball, his positioning is quite good, and his versatility and movement is something that allows him to get back into position when he needs to. But in a more midfield sense, it gives Chelsea two things. It allows Conor Gallagher to then move forwards into one of these half spaces. This then gives Palmer the freedom to be able to move out into that inside right channel that we know he likes so much. Cucurella then moves into midfield when Chelsea are in possession, and he partners with Caicedo, giving Chelsea added stability within the middle of the park, added passing lanes through into Gallagher and into Palmer when needed, but at the same time making sure that there is an ability for Caicedo to retreat back into his left back position whenever Chelsea lose possession, utilising the ability and the dynamism and pressing ability of Gallagher and Palmer to try and make sure they mitigate any attacks if anything was to break down. The centre-backs then move round, and all of a sudden, you've got a pretty stable back three. Chelsea's new approach is so clear to see in the game against West Ham. They won this by 5-0, and this is just before Chelsea's last goal. And it's clear the instructions that have been given by Mauricio Pochettino. So you've got 1, 2, 3 centre-backs. You've got 2 holding midfielders thanks to Cucurella moving from left back into midfield. Chalobah's strong, quite fast and quite nimble. Thiago Silva is able to marshal this backline, and Badiashile, much like Chalobah, is not too bad at passing, is quite strong, quite tall, and is able to really dominate this left-hand side, giving Chelsea an ability to be able to go forwards with 2 attacking midfielders and maintaining a balance in between the attacking mids and the central defensive mids. And you've also, at the top of your picture, got Mudryk holding out the width. Now this opens up the space for the attacking midfielders to then go forwards. But from a defensive point of view, this is much, much better. Now you've got 2 holding players for possession in the likes of Cucurella and Caicedo. You've got a back three, which is really tall, quite strong. You've got good passing range from Thiago Silva, athleticism from Chalobah and Badiashile. There's just a much better balance to this Chelsea side, and defensively they look really resolute. The ball gets played over towards Nicholas Jackson, and then we can see the two attacking midfielders that are occupying those 8 spaces. And it's really clear to see Conor Gallagher having that left attacking mid role. You've got Cole Palmer with that right attacking mid-roll. And another thing to mention here is that while the onus will be on Cole Palmer to create, he's not needing to do it in a sole central channel. He can now naturally drift over to this right-hand side and have the reliance or the reassurance that Conor Gallagher will go and occupy that left channel, not only giving Cole Palmer a little bit of extra support, but also spreading that opposition defence. The width being brought from Mudryk out on this side and Madueke out on the other. Jackson then floats in and around between the 2 pockets and the 2 channels, making runs in beyond whenever they need to. This improves Chelsea's possession-based game, but also at the same time makes it that little bit more difficult for the opposition to defend against, because you're naturally getting more players further up the pitch. The split in Chelsea's team changes into a 5 going forwards and a 5 defending, giving them a natural balance, a natural width, and a much better offensive capability, while also making sure that they're defending and really defensively aware of the counter-attack. I was super impressed by the way that Chelsea set up, and we can see it in a couple of images. Now, this is one of the Chelsea goals, or just before one of the Chelsea goals, and it's really clear to see. So you've got Mudryk here out on this left-hand side, but I want to focus on the 2 attacking 8s here. Look at them just outside of the box, ready to drive in, and just naturally, Chelsea look a much more dangerous outfit. It's just really, really impressive. Now the ball comes to Cole Palmer, who was able to then smash it home, but without him having the license to be not only a little bit more central, but also at the same time, look at the amount of attackers you got. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, nearly 5 players in and around the box, and that security out at the back just gives them a better balance. Let's go and have a look at a couple more images as well. Cole Palmer is then able to drop when he feels like it to be able to go and link the play, looking for the likes of Conor Gallagher and the likes. He's not having to do everything himself, and that gives him a freedom in this side. But note Cucurella here in a more central role when Chelsea have possession. Again, stopping that counter-attack, but also giving an extra option for Palmer to be able to pass to. The actual options on the ball is just really, really good from Chelsea here. We can then forward it on and then take a look at the way he plays him in. Conor Gallagher is then rewarded for being that little bit extra up the pitch, that little bit higher. It's just so much better, and there's much more balance to this Chelsea side. Again, we can see Cole Palmer taking up a right-hand position. Now, we mentioned about the need for Palmer to be a little bit more central, but it also gives them the option to be able to go out wide a little bit more. And again, I want to focus on Gallagher being in this central role. And these are positions that Enzo Fernandez, I don't think, gets into. And with the likes of Cucurella just making sure that he's able to recycle possession, very much like Enzo would do, just shuffling it from left to right, it gives Gallagher the ability to then go forwards and be able to try and get a chance. Now he hits the bar here, but just that attacking position is so much more dangerous than having a player behind the ball. It's just really, really good from Chelsea. I was extremely impressed by the way that they played. I think this is a style of play that they need to have going forwards. And if I'm honest, I think they need to reassess what they're doing with Enzo Fernandez. I'm not saying that they get rid of him, of course, but if you're going to play him, you're going to need to change the system to better suit him. In this current iteration, Chelsea are really dangerous, but they're also a balanced unit. I can't stress that enough. They're balanced defensively and they're balanced going forwards. And it's going to be a really exciting time if this progresses into next season.